we found when we've built talent management strategies for smaller businesses is before you can do performance management, you need role profiles. Yes. And what people tend to do, because they're trying to cut costs, is say, we'll hire that person because they can actually do that job and a bit of that job and then some of that as well. We've got one client who said before we started there, how many of my people does it take to change a light bulb? Everyone. Because that's what ends up happening when there isn't role clarification. So if you're going to do performance management, you first need role profiles, then you need performance agreements, and then you implement your performance management process. I don't really think you have an excuse to do it less than weekly. And we call it 10-10. So you do 10 minutes with you speaking, 10 minutes with your direct report speaking, and it's your direct report, not everyone in the business. You need the manager and the direct report one-on-one. So the psychology of that enables that person to say things to you that allows you to understand the temperature in your business, clearly. And there needs to be principles and parameters established about how those meetings function. But the cornerstone of it is that they are regular and that they are diarized, and that everybody in the business has a right to it. And the enabler there, when you're having to do poor performance management, is that there are no surprises.
Apart from that, I mean, and very few people do that. So how do you find out, and it says in your profile, that you're very good at detecting crap or bullshit?
Your interviewing process is even more important and needs to be even more rigorous than a large organization's interviewing process. Because you cannot afford to make a mistake. So your interviewing process needs to be competency-based, which does not involve you buying assessments. When you know what kind of business you're trying to build, you go, what are the skills that I need, and what are the behaviors that I need? But if you know what behaviors you're looking for, and you know what skills you're looking for, you can ask questions in interviews. And a competency-based interview is when you say to somebody, tell me about a time when. And they need to be able to give you an example of a time when they acted in that way. But if that person starts to hedge in that interview, you can quickly tell if they were the person who delivered on that thing, or if it was their boss or their team. Don't just take someone because you're too busy and you don't want to have another one. Make sure that person is right.
Many people in South Africa are very critical of the labour laws, and I'm certainly not one of them. I think the labour laws here force you to hire slowly. Because you know it's not going to be easy to get rid of somebody, it means you don't take them on quickly. Getting rid of somebody in this country is possible. In fact, we have, for the first time in our business, in the last 2 weeks, fired 2 people. But we've done it through due process. It was really about just getting around and to it and doing it. But once we had those systems in place, it actually made it quite easy for us to put a person through a performance management process and then get rid of them. Another thing that we have done, which I think has worked very well for us, is we pay about 500 Rand a month, I think it costs, towards a company of labour lawyers, and those people are at our disposal at any time. I like the 10-10 rule. I think that's absolutely great. But we have twice per year. If someone's on performance management, then it's a documented weekly session.
It depends on your reward strategy and what is it, which behaviours you're wanting to reward in the organisation. But what normally happens is you have a short-term incentive scheme, which is a bonus scheme, and then you have your long-term incentive scheme, but you also have recognition schemes, which are informal and formal recognition schemes. Now, your short-term incentive scheme is normally forward-looking, so it's performance-based remuneration. So you're saying 12 months, this is what we need to achieve as a company. If the company achieves X amount, a bonus pool will be made available. If that bonus pool is made available and you as an individual has performed based on the performance management system, you will qualify for a bonus. Now, in terms of performance-based remuneration, you tend to differentiate quite aggressively between your average to your high performers. So there's strong differentiation across the different levels in terms of performance ratings. But then what you also have is a recognition scheme, which is informal and formal. Now, your formal recognition scheme could be like the CEO event of the year, where you recognize performance but backward looking, so it's after the fact. Or even just a simple thank you. You won't believe how much power is held in a simple thank you. So it's those kinds of behaviors you want to reward. So you need to be creative and really understand your workforce and what motivates your workforce. So it's about having a mix of reward offerings and understanding the timing as to when you will allocate certain gifts, be it tangible cash awards, non-cash awards, and coming up with a really good offering that talks to the heart of your people and the behaviors that you want to display in an organization. So don't come with elaborate things. Understand what drives the people in your organization. So what I'm trying to say is a one-size-fits-all approach doesn't work. You need to be creative and you need to know your workforce.
We sort of begged, borrowed or stole. In fact, in starting our business, we begged, borrowed or stole from just about everywhere we could, and we became absolute masters at getting people to do stuff for us for nothing. But it worked for us for a while. The fact is, you can beg, borrow, steal, get on the internet, ask friends, if you got... In fact, I had a friend ask me the other day, said, you guys have written a company manual, can I have it so I can have a look at it, see what's suitable for my business and pass it on to it. So I do think you can get quite far with that, but at the end of the day, you'll find yourself having to pay money to somebody down the line to make it all, nice for you.
So I think if you want a rough guide to what you should do in terms of people practices and HR, visit the Department of Labor's website. But again, friends, past experiences, people that you know, networking. Networking is crucial in any startup business. And you gather information from various sources. So I think it's about how creative you can actually be.
I think perhaps if you're in the IT industry, it's important to get someone to draw up your employment contract. So initially we also used the Labour website and just basic stuff and put a contract together. But I think with the ICT Act and a lot of the other stuff that's applicable there and restraint of trades on, or that you want on your personnel, it was probably worth the, I don't know, at that stage it was about 6,000 Rand or 7,000 Rand to pay attorneys to draw up a proper letter, and it's something that you're going to reuse for years to come, so the cost actually becomes null and void over a period of time.
My advice is that you do need to get external advice and get a consulting company, maybe like KPMG, to advise you on it. It's very, very tricky. You'd rather put it on hold until you're in a better situation or in a better position financially where you are able to determine what the value of the company is now and in the future, and also on the type of share scheme you're going to go with. I mean, options are no longer best practice in South Africa because of underwater shares.